We are about to have a conversation with Philip Anthony. Philip is the host of the AM 950 radio show called Downright Upright with Philip Anthony. Philip's show is pretty political, which is perfect because now my show, Bottomless Coffee, is going to start getting more and more political over time. That is a direct response to the way the federal government has conducted itself in the Minneapolis area where I live. And it's my way of giving back to the community and giving back to society. That is lifting up these types of conversations and really talking in a civil way about what's going on in the world around us. So let's get to it.
Hey, Philip. How's it going?
Okay, Jerome, how are you?
Oh my gosh. Well, we had just a bunch of technical issues, but I'm thrilled to report that my coffee is still hot and my mood is still really good. And it's just always really wonderful to get to chat with you.
It's always a pleasure. And you know what?
What?
You're always in a good mood and always happy. So I love that. You're perking me up already.
But, well, my good mood
up.
was in danger a second ago, frankly.
Yes, but you can hear me and it's all good.
Yeah, I can hear you. But you know what's interesting is that I was less worried about all of these technical issues because I know from being on your show that you are so aware of how many things can go wrong when you're working on these podcasts or radio shows. So you are hosting the Downright Upright show on AM 950. You were on Bottomless Coffee with Jerome as a guest on the TV show before you were a radio show. You were a podcast like this one, then became a radio show. How is it going?
It's great. I mean, I love it. I mean, I've had so many amazing guests on. I mean, people that are just doing the do, as they say, you know. I mean, in the entertainment realm, I mean, it's not all politics and, you know, negative. I mean, you got to mix it up because you got to uplift a little bit, you know, because in this environment that we're living in, it's rough. And some people just need to pick me up. And I'll have, you know, musical guests that were integral to the gay community. So I had Franz Jolie, the disco queen from the 70s and 80s. She had a few hits in her time. She number ones. I think she had 3.
Okay.
I'm going to have Charlene, the singer who was in who did the song from Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. I've Never Been to Me.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. Her song is featured prominently in the movie. Few other people, and so that's the uplift. You know, that's the upright part of the Downright Upright show. And the politicians that are doing the work for our community too. You know.
Yeah.
So it's a really you know, I feel like I try to tell people, like, I think sometimes I'm kind of like the LGBT Larry King.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
You know, because I interview people of all walks of life. It's not just one, it's not, you know, it's not centered on one issue or whatever. It's everything. And people that are movers and shakers in the community. So
the LGBT Larry King. That's cool. Now, was he known for really tough questions?
He was known, yes. I do, but see, full disclosure, Jerome, I don't interview very many, if any, people who disagree with my politics, and not by choice. It's usually because they don't want to.
Yeah.
I mean, they have the opportunity because, you know, there's a rule that if you have a candidate on your show, you must give them equal time room. Yes. And I can do that, but they don't do it. They don't reach out to me. So, you know, so if you're watching and you want to be on, go for it.
So you've got a show about all the good stuff that's going on. Is it just the queer community or is it any kind of community?
Everybody. I mean, I would say 99% of my listeners are LGBTQ plus / allies.
Okay.
There are people that listen that don't like me. I know that because I get some feedback and some nasty comments calling me every name in the book. but that's another show.
Okay, that's another show.
Yes.
I find that we get a lot of the queer community that listen and watch Bottomless Coffee as well. But slowly but surely, the number of allies that just want to know what's happening in our community, that
Mm-hmm.
number has really been creeping up. And I would say the feedback I've received is that I personally need to be aware of exactly how many allies are invested in the same fight right alongside our queer community.
Yeah.
And so I do try to pay attention to that. Something else I want to share just for everyone is that this is, or rather, Philip, you are the first in, I would say, like a more contemporary recording. So it is the end of February 2026 now. The last 3 episodes had been recorded in November, the end of November, just before the ice surge in Minneapolis. And so the vibes were totally wrong for releasing some kind of upbeat, upright episodes. But as the operation wore on, I was like, okay, Bottomless Coffee really needs to come back, really needs to step up. And so I released those 3 pretty quickly, like right back to back to back. And now it's you, Philip. So I'm hoping that we can have a conversation about what's going on in Minnesota and like what has been going on in Minnesota. Um, and maybe start with like how we got to where we are politically, at least.
Yeah.
And for
Well,
me, that goes.
yeah.
Sorry,
No,
I
that's
will
fine.
not talk at you for the entirety of this conversation. I
You're
swear.
doing great. You're doing great. I'd rather listen to you because you're amazing.
But for me, I feel like it starts back with Melissa Hortman, the assassination of Melissa Hortman in the summer of 2025. Um,
And her
that
husband.
that seems like the beginning of just a series of really terrible events that have taken place in Minnesota. But where does it begin for you?
Well, I think pre-show I told you that when you know who came down the escalator in Trump Tower,
Yeah.
that was the beginning of the slide that our country is experiencing today. I don't think we would have lost Melissa and her husband, Alex Preddy, Renee Good, and numerous other
Mm-hmm.
people. Uh, People wouldn't be afraid to walk the street in Minneapolis, St. Paul, looking over their shoulder. I'm a person of color. Oh my goodness, are they going to come get me just because, or the language that I'm speaking, I'm hearing too. Like if you can't even speak your own language in a free country,
Yeah.
they're listening to what language you're speaking. This is like Big Brother all over again, from the book. So
I
yeah.
was really I was thinking that I might steer us to be more Minnesota specific, but you bring up a really good point about these stops based on skin color, because those are kind of known as Kavanaugh stops, based on an opinion by Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh, who was appointed by Donald Trump. So you are very much correct in that a lot of what we're experiencing here and a lot of what other people are experiencing here in the Twin Cities would not be happening. But for who you and Whoopi Goldberg refer to as you know who.
I I use his name now. I remember
Sure.
when you were on my show the first time. I never used his name because I thought it was ubiquitous and it was driving me out of my mind. Now I use it because you voted for this, people. So let's correlate the nonsense with the name.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's why I've been starting to, even though I do say the present occupant of the White House a lot, I use that one. I mean, he is the present
Yes.
occupant,
Yes.
and hopefully not for very much longer. Hopefully, he will not run again.
Well,
because
Constitutionally, he is barred from
yeah,
running
but
again. I know
Jerome,
that has not seemed to have stopped him from doing a number of other things, but
hello, yes,
we shall see. That one
hello.
seems like a hard stop. It's a hard stop.
Yeah, that's a
Uh,
rabbit hole for me
I
because
agree.
I'm telling you, if we don't adhere to the original Constitution, uh, like um, habeas corpus and due process and uh, election rights, and
Hmm.
stop purging the role. Why does, for example, why does you know who want to get control of the Minnesota voter rolls? Just asking for a friend, Jerome. You know, I mean, why
Yeah.
would you do that? You know,
Well, okay, so that's a minute or two on the downright. I would like to
do some upright.
I do want to do upright, and I think it's still Minnesota related
Hmm.
because even in the face of the Kavanaugh stops and the fear and the uncertainty that's taken hold in Minnesota, the community of Minnesotans, especially in Minneapolis and St. Paul, has been incredibly strong. And I think it's been like a media story that the national media can't really understand.
Hmm.
Um, the fact that so many people so quickly connected to each other in order to like oppose or maybe even rebuke a policy that we were like, no, it's not going to happen here. And if it is going to happen, there will be kicking, there will be screaming, there will be whistles, there will be dildos thrown at your cars. There is, we are not going gently. And I think that so many of these national pundits are from out of state. So I didn't grow up in Minnesota. I don't believe you grew up in Minnesota either. For those who are listening, they say the best way to make friends with a Minnesotan is to go to kindergarten with them. Because the communities can be
Yes,
very insular, right? Right.
I agree. It took me a while for people to start to like me because
Yeah.
I approach life from a New York standpoint, whereas we're more
Sure.
direct. Like if you smell, I say maybe you should take a shower, that kind of thing. We're very direct, and like if you have toilet paper on your shoe, you just say
Right.
you got toilet paper, things like that.
Yeah. Wipe your
I,
nose. You got something going on right
yes,
there.
which would
Yeah.
be interpreted as rude
Yeah.
here, but I think I would want somebody to tell me if, Philip, maybe, you didn't put deodorant today or something if you're going out in public, or you have toilet paper on your shoe, or you have a booger
Sure.
or something, So,
Sure.
I mean, I would want that. I'm sure you would, right?
Absolutely. And
So,
my
mhm.
husband tells me all the time whenever I have something going on. And I think that's part of it. It's like once you get in the group, once you're in, um, you're in, and people will tell you, and people will look out for you. And I think that is an angle on the killing of Renee Good and Alex Preddy that the national media missed because they are not from here. Or they've not been adopted into the community like we have. And so I have a question. Did you know either of those two people, Renee or Alex?
Personally, no.
Yeah.
My husband worked in the same uh, the VA hospital
Oh wow.
with Alex Preddy. However, they just passed in the hall and said hello to each other.
Yeah.
But he had a reputation, and I must say this because his memory must live on. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, he was an amazingly philanthropic person. He was always out looking to care for other people. He's a ICU nurse. He was an ICU nurse. I mean,
Yeah.
right there, that tells you I care about people. And he always said hello to people he didn't even know in the hall. Hi, good morning, and that take some people just walk by, which is fine. I mean, I'm not going to demean people because they're not overly friendly. But the point I'm making
Yeah.
is that he is that person that light, brightens up the room when they come in, kind of thing.
And see, this is almost exactly the answer to the follow-up question I was going to ask. I was going to
I'm
ask you
reading
if
your mind, by the
well,
way,
you
Jerome.
are. You're spot on. I was going to ask you if you knew them, and then I was going to ask you if you feel like you knew them. And from the way that you're describing Alex in particular, this sounds like someone you met. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And I think that's because of how tight knit the community here is in Minnesota and in the Twin Cities in particular. And I think that is like the tragic misstep in you know who's policy, and that they underestimated the impact that those actions have on our community and the response that it would trigger
Yeah.
from these normal, not trying to be bothered. Well, don't want to go out too far out of the way in the winter. People to being like out in the street, um, gearing up, getting ready, making noise, and causing a real disruption, with the goal of getting these agents out of Minnesota, which
Yeah.
did happen.
Mm-hmm.
Crucially, we have to point out that this operation is drawing down ahead of whatever the goals were supposed to be. There were no articulated numbers. You know what I mean? They weren't like, hey, we're 50% of the way there. It's
Yeah, that's
it's
bloviation, if you ask me. But
yeah,
what I want to say,
please.
put a cap on this, is that I watched the video personally.
Same. Both videos.
And what was he doing, folks out there in TV land or wherever you're watching this? He helped a woman, or two women, I want to say, if I'm not mistaken. They were pushed onto the ground for no apparent reason. He went to help them. That's all I saw in that video.
Yeah.
He went to lift them off the ground and then, and that pepper spray directly in your face I've never seen a cop do that in my life. Never mind,
No.
Someone just helping a person off the ground and spraying it directly in his face. Then there's 8 people on top of him.
Yeah.
And then 10 shots to the head. I mean,
Or however many. Yeah.
I think, yeah, it was multiple.
I mean, one
8
was
to
too
10
many in the case.
One too many. Yes.
Yeah.
One
Didn't
too
make any
many.
sense.
Yeah.
Didn't make any
It's
sense.
sickening. It's disgusting. The humanity, I think we've lost the humanity in this country. We look at the other person as expendable. We can kill you because you don't, you're out there protesting. God forbid,
Right.
your First Amendment, God forbid you exercise that, And the funny thing, and to put, again, another cap on this,
Sure.
the Second Amendment, which the
Yes.
Republican Party seems to, roll around in and, like a pig in mud, they love the Second Amendment when it only applies to Kyle Rittenhouse, for example.
Correct.
That it's okay. But if it applies to a Democrat or someone that's against Trump, can't have a gun.
Well, I don't even think it's in the individual. I don't even think it's the people. I think it's whatever particular actions the administration is taking at the time. If you are against whatever that particular action is, then you are a problem. You're a domestic terrorist, for example, as was applied to Renee Good and possibly also Alex Preddy.
But forgive my passion about this.
No,
I
you
am
better
so
be passionate
angry
about it.
Oh my God, Jerome, I must say, and I'm not doing this for pity or whatever. I cried for 3 hours.
Yeah.
For both these people. I was bawling.
Yeah.
And then hearing, and I'm not, I don't know the person's name because I was at a supermarket shopping. I think I mentioned this to you on
I don't know if you did. Go ahead.
My show. Oh, I didn't?
I don't think so.
There was people arguing about this is before Preddy was killed. It had to do with Renee Good.
Mm-hmm.
And what somebody said to the other person that they were arguing, this is quote, she was only a lesbian. I don't know what that meant.
Wow.
Thank you. And I was the New York in me was coming out. So I said, I better leave this place because I'm going to do something I'll regret. She's
Wow.
only a lesbian.
Yeah.
See how you dehumanize? I was talking
Oh.
about that before.
Mm-hmm.
See how easy it is? That's what the Nazis did with the Jews and the gays. They dehumanized them. So if you kill them, so what?
Yeah, you're referring to a conversation we had on your show.
Yes.
That I did it air just this last Saturday?
It's going to be airing soon. I think either this week or the week, but this is pre-recorded too. So
Well, we were having a conversation about Trump retweeting or reposting or something that video with the Obamas as
oh, that.
monkeys and the
Oh,
uproar that it caused, rightfully so. And we had a conversation about the dehumanization of people of color, especially during Black History Month of all months and racism.
right.
It's a really great conversation. Um, Philip, what's the website people should go to check out that conversation?
Oh, you mean the show?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there's multiple ways to listen to the show.
Tell us about it.
So you could go to the Facebook page on the AM950 Facebook page. Please like AM950, first of all. We're the only game in town left, Jerome. If we go off the air because we don't get enough sponsorship or support, all you're going to hear is an echo chamber of Trump baloney. I almost said the other word. And you could go to YouTube, AM950, Downright Upright Show with Philip Anthony. You can go to Spotify if you just to listen to your podcast. Some people don't want to see my face. That's wonderful. You could just listen to me. At Apple Music. There's a whole bunch of them. iHeartRadio. Yeah.
I'll make sure I at least put a link to the AM950 page in the description for us.
That'd be great. Thank you so much. And again, just to get back to what we were saying about dehumanization, if you notice now, all the communities on the periphery, the marginalized, they're all joining now. Oh, yeah. They're all coming together. Even white allies, straight white allies, all coming together and realizing this man is dangerous for the country. That never happened before. We were segmented, and I noticed
kind of segmented ourselves. Interestingly enough, as we kind of had some time under Obama and under Biden to get in touch with our own cultures and see how we develop. But now in this time of threat, kind of calling back to the conversation we had at the top of this talk, is that our allies are numerous. There are a lot more straight white men than there are gay men, period.
Oh yeah. I mean, they see what's going on in the country, and a lot of them were in the military themselves or were police officers, and they see the tactics and they're like, this is not what I learned.
No.
This is not supposed to happen the way it's happening. So even they're getting the picture, and saying, no, this is not good. Yeah. And they're joining in with us. And I love that. And I hope this brings the country together. I really do. Maybe sometimes you need adversity to bring the country together,
Well, I completely agree with that. And I also think that we really have a need for these types of events to lead to durable political change. And in this country, we are still a democracy, and the numbers matter. And so the bigger your coalition, the better. And so I do think it's really telling that you're saying that these people are joining with us, like this greater number, the majority is joining with the minority. Because right now, I feel like the majority doesn't really feel like it's their issue entirely. We feel like it's our issue for sure, but it's almost like the margins of the people of the majority feel like it's something that they need to be concerned about. And I feel like those numbers are only going to continue to climb for us, which is fantastic. But that's in large part why I was motivated to get back to Bottomless Coffee and have these conversations. Because, I was really hesitant to have political, like just straight political conversations on the show. Because it didn't feel like what people needed and it didn't seem beneficial. And I was coming from a place of like bitterness after my elections.
But you were doing, full disclosure, your show originally was sponsored by, I want to say the environmental
health, the Minnesota Department of Health.
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
The health department or the health.
That's also true. I had a real financial incentive to not be
too political. Yes.
Yeah. And that's gone. So, yay. But also I really did not think it was going to come from a very like fair, uplifting, upright place. And we've got so mujust negativity. I didn't need to contribute.
By the way, can I ask you a question?
Please.
Because this is your show, but I found this interesting.
Yeah.
When you were doing the TV show, on Channel 6, did you ever get negative feedback from your show? Do you know?
Not like you're getting on yours. The feedback that I would get was like, hey, you need to be on national television.
Oh, wow.
Like, you need better quality cameras, you need better audio, and you need to be on and I was like, well, are you going to pay for it? Where's this money going to come from?
Jerome, I'm telling you, it's so important to have your voice back, number one.
Thank you.
Because you're coming from a perspective that I'm not even coming from as a person of color, where you can experience what people in your sphere are experiencing better than I can. I have African-American friends. I have friends that are Latino and stuff, but I'm hearing anecdotal things. You're just hearing it from all sectors. And I think your voice is very, very, very important. And I'm coming from the LGBT perspective. And I just had a guest on the show, I think it was just last week, that spoke about Pride. If ICE is going to be here when Pride is here, will they start arresting us now? Because we'll be wearing our rainbow shirt. So we'll be more visible. And will they start doing that? And that's a great question I can't answer,
Well, I think we can go even sharper than that, especially in this conversation, because you do man on the street interviews, or person on the street, we'll say, and I do want you to tell us a little bit about it. But we just saw the arrest of Georgia Ford and Don Lemon and others, and so you might not even have to be wearing your rainbow gear. You might just have a microphone to experience what they experienced if you exercised your rights in a way that they don't like. So I would, you don't even have to be black. You don't even have to be gay.
Yeah, that's true. AM 950 again. Everybody knows is a very progressive radio station. We give news. It's factual. We don't lie. Like if you listen to FAUX News or Newsmax or OAN and all those. I mean, there's things they talk about that are incredibly not true. And I would not feel comfortable talking about stuff that isn't true.
Yeah.
I talk about things that are happening. I live here in the Twin Cities. I know what's going on. I've experienced seeing ICE grabbing people. I mean, I was going too fast to stop and do anything about it. Because, you're driving, you're looking ahead, and all of a sudden you see lights and there's people getting dragged out of their cars. And, some people are even getting, they're breaking the windows to get them out, which I've never heard of. Have you ever heard of a cop do that? I mean,
No, I don't think.
No.
So. I used to watch Cops, the show Cops. And I'm like, they didn't even do that on Cops.
No, they would take your license plate, track your license plate, make sure you're not a felon or whatever. Yeah. But they never dragged like this woman, this one particular woman, that she was going to a medical appointment,
Yes.
and they dragged her. I mean, like an animal out of her car. She's screaming, "I'm disabled. I have a brain bleed. I'm this and that,"
Yeah.
and disregarded her completely.
And
So
I watched, her name escapes me, but I watched the
yeah, me too.
testimony on that she gave before, I believe it was Congress. And
The Democrats only Congress, yes.
where she described the state of the detention facility that she was in.
Yes.
And it was horrific. It was terrible. She was really mistreated. But I believe that they are reducing the number of agents in Minnesota specifically, but they are still building more and more detention centers around the country. And so it happened here. I think it's definitely going to happen in other places. And I think we're just going to hear more and more terrible stories of things that we frankly can and should stop if we don't come together and really do something about this. Now,
Yeah.
I know right now DHS is shut down. It's like under this partial government shutdown because Democrats are not voting for the bill funding them. But I do not believe that the list of concessions that Democrats are demanding include like a halt on the number of detention centers that are being built in the country.
From what I'm hearing, the big beautiful bill, whatever they want to call that, included millions and millions of dollars to support ICE. So they, even without the funding, they still have the money to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
And so,
but
it's the
back.
Yes, it's the principle of the matter.
And I don't think that's part of what the Democrats are asking for either.
No,
so,
it's the principle of the matter, because otherwise we're going to free fall into fascism really quick.
I think.
We are,
that's
but
happening.
I mean, I'm trying to be nice about it here, but it's it has to stop somewhere. And my fear, and this is the elephant in the room for me, is, are we going to have an election? Because we have American battleships and aircraft carriers and all kinds of stuff all around the Straits of Hormuz, all around Iran. For what? Apparently, he's thinking, Mr. Peace Prize person, of attacking Iran. And if that happens, hey, we can't have an election. We're having a war.
Oh no! I will disagree with you there because we are at war all the time. We're attacking people all the time.
Yes, but
I think
with him, you can't.
A lot of times, I think what a lot of times what happens is the tactic is you start the conflict thinking that now is a really bad time to bring in like another executive leader. Yeah. But we're talking about midterm elections now, not a presidential election. And so I do not think that actions in Iran would suspend our elections. I also think like even during the Civil War, we were having elections. And I think that if we are going to continue to be taxed, then we will be having elections.
Yeah, but I agree with you, Jerome, to a degree. But again, this is unprecedented what's happening now. Everything that's happening has never happened before. You've never, for example, you've never had ICE agents arresting American citizens. You never had them killing people, pulling them out of their cars with no due process, etc. down the road. There's no precedent for this. So who's to say what he could do? Because the Supreme Court seems to give him immunity over everything, right? Except this last thing with the tariffs, which I thank you, Gorsuch, and thank you, Amy Coney Barrett, for jumping off the Trump train for one stop. It's good. It really is. But again, the immunity, doesn't immunity just mean immunity, whatever you want to do, you
Well,
know?
I'll say one quick note on elections before we move to tariffs is that,
Mhm.
I do think that there will be elections, and I think that is because we will demand elections. I don't think it's because they're gonna like stop trying to circumvent the elections or what
Oh
have
yeah.
you. I think there will be elections. I think if there is a way to cheat, then they will take advantage of it. And I think that would actually be a lot easier for them to do than to try to suspend elections around the country. So
Yeah.
more
Yeah. Yeah.
on that in the future. But we'll move
Yes.
to we'll move to tariffs.
Oh, okay.
And
Which
I
is a
don't know.
tax, by the way.
It is a tax, but what's interesting? Okay, so the president came into office, sweeping tariffs, using tariffs as a cudgel around the world. Different countries have different tariffs placed on them. The consumer ends up paying the cost of the tariffs because these companies who are importing goods pass that cost along to the consumer in the form of increased prices. But now
Right.
the Supreme Court is saying that the way that the president was wielding these tariffs was illegal. Um, and the news that I was able to catch up on um, is saying that maybe like $175 billion or so should be due back from the government in the form of a refund. And I'm seeing some companies thinking that they should get the refunds. I think I saw that the Illinois governor sent a demand letter to the White House saying that people in Illinois paid like $8 billion of this 175 billion in tariffs, and they should get the money. But then I'm also seeing on social media individuals saying, hold on, if we paid higher prices to make up for these tariffs, then this refund needs to go back to the people, not to the companies.
Makes
Because if
sense.
it goes back to the companies, then we're just getting our pockets picked twice. And so it'll be really interesting to see how this all shakes out. Have you seen anything like that over the last weekend or so?
Stay tuned. That's all I
Stay
have to
tuned.
say. I mean, we don't know what they're going to do. I mean, it would be nice to get a refund. I mean, because I
Yeah.
mean, I know certain companies have put little blurbs underneath each item they're selling saying we had to raise the price because of the tariffs. That's included in this price.
Yeah.
Some companies have done that, but you know who was not happy about that
Yeah.
and said to stop it. So I don't know if it's still happening because I don't really buy that much stuff online anymore, you know.
Sure.
So
I'd
we'll
also,
see.
I think, point out that the revenue from the tariffs were supposed to pay for the tax breaks that corporations received under the Big Beautiful Bill. And so uh, this is like the $175 billion or what have you, is just going to go onto the debt, our ever mounting national debt. Um, which is, I think, eventually, I think, supposed to lead to some economic instability. I
Yeah, yeah.
think, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, like I said, stay tuned. We don't know where that money's going to go, and hopefully it will go to the people if there's any justice left in this
Well,
country. Yeah,
um,
but we'll see.
on top of that, I think we can maybe explore the intersection of the tariff money and fraud. For kind of bringing it back to Minnesota as well. For those who will recall, um, where do we even get into it? There were allegations of fraud in Minnesota that go way back. There was a Feeding Our Future scandal that
Yep.
was at the time, I think, the largest fraud case relating to COVID money, and that kind of bled into allegations of fraud um, regarding, I think, we'll call them welfare programs, daycare programs, what have you. And some YouTuber or influencer or something came to Minnesota,
Hmm.
went to Quality Leaning Center, I don't know, and that blew up on the internet, and it went crazy viral. and was like the pretext. The fraud was the pretext for sending in all of these ICE agents to the Twin Cities. Because I guess the idea was that if you deport all of the immigrants, all of the illegal immigrants here, then there would be no more fraud, which is weird, which is quite the stretch, given that the architect of our Feeding Our Future scandal was a white woman named Amy Bach.
Yes. And you know something, and I want to tell your audience,
Yeah,
I am
please.
not, I don't believe in whataboutism, but I'm going to do it this
Okay.
time. Do you know Senator Rick Scott in Florida?
Yes.
He was embroiled in a Medicare scandal. Do you hear the crickets? Because I do. Nobody talks about that in the media. It's only the Minnesota thing. So fraud is not only happening in Minnesota. It's happening all across this country.
Yeah.
And the person that's the current occupant in the White House is the king of fraud, and nobody talks about it. And it's just frustrating. It's like, you're watching this stuff and you're like, what? All right, that's happening, but what about this, and what about that, and what about this? It's like, look over here, and everything over here is happening.
And I agree with you. It's not a per se what about argument, but I'll say, well, what about the forensic accountants? Because that's who you send in when there's been fraud, right? Like, you don't send in Homeland Security. You send in the nerds.
Tax attorneys, maybe, was people that are economists or economic majors or whatever you want to call it.
Exactly.
I am not good at economics. That's the subject that I probably have the least experience about.
But you send in people who can review the numbers and follow the money back to the perpetrator. And I don't think that's happening in Minnesota, because so many federal prosecutors who would be tasked with investigating this fraud resigned because their higher ups were pressuring them to investigate the family of Renee Good and to investigate Alex Preddy, instead of investigating these actual crimes that we had evidence of having taken place. And so it really leaves Minnesotans in a much worse position, with literal criminals on the street, findable criminals on the street with our money in their pockets, that we're not able to get back because the administration in power has taken, like, really, I'm going to say, incompetent steps in response to the actual fraud problem.
But Jerome, I want to say one thing before I forget.
Please.
The fact that they're going after grandmas and old people, who are American citizens.
Veterans. Yeah.
Veterans. I mean, I'm going to say something maybe some people may not agree with here, but we'll see. If they were targeting hardened criminals, rapists, murderers, what have you, that are here undocumented, go for it. I don't want them here either. I don't want to be raped. I don't want to be killed. I don't want to be robbed, or carjacked, or whatever the case may be. Who does? Yeah. I mean, really. So don't piss in my face and tell me it's raining when, I'm agreeing with that. But that's not what's happening. And because it's not happening, that's why the people are revolting, and they're in the streets with signs and screaming and whistles and yada, yada, yada. So, okay, said my piece.
I completely agree. That is not what's happening. And I just want to justify my use of the word incompetent, because I don't use it lightly. But I think when you have a program, like a government program, that results in the killing of U.S. citizens who are just exercising their constitutional rights, then you're not doing a very good job in designing your program and implementing your program.
Yes,
when that happens and you go on TV and you say, these officers, these agents were just responding to their training or whatever. Okay, well, that's bad training. And whoever is saying that this training is acceptable, they need to go. And I think as part of that durable political change conversation, we need to, as at least as Minnesotans and all of our allies, need to be really vigilant in making sure that there is accountability for what has taken place. And we might not get it from the justice system right now,
No.
from the way that, you know, the FBI and whomever else are talking about not cooperating with the Minnesota BCA, I think is what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, we can kick people out of office.
Yeah, but
sure.
Kristi Noem is complicit.
Talking about Kristi. Okay, here we go.
Kristi
She's not complicit.
Noem.
She's responsible. That's more than complicit.
If you okay, I'm always trying to be nice, but if
be
you were
Jersey,
doing
be New York,
right? If you're doing your job, none of this would have been happening. Yeah. Now she came on the air, I want to say maybe 5 to 10 minutes after the two murders, and called them domestic terrorists. Correct. Without an investigation.
Correct.
And she didn't allow the BCA to have access to any evidence at all. And that's unprecedented. See what I mean about following the Constitution? Nothing that's happening now is normal. It's not. It's abnormal. And until we get back to normalcy, this country is sliding into fascism. That's what I said before. You said it's there already.
We're certainly in the slide. We're certainly on the slide.
I agree. It's either there or getting very close.
I would like to get off the slide, please.
Get me off this ride. You know, I can remember as a kid being on this ride. It was scaring the hell out of me. I screamed for my mother, "Ma, get me off!" And the ride operator had to stop the ride to get me off. I mean, that's what needs to happen right now. We need to get off this ride because it's not fun anymore. You know?
Yeah, completely agree.
Yes.
Oh, well, tell us a little bit about what's coming up next with Downright Upright.
Oh, that's a surprise question. I'll tell you. Let's see. Yeah. Well, I have a lot of interesting guests coming up. I told you about Charlene, yes. An entertainment guest, that she was, again, her song, I've Never Been to Me, was a huge hit around the world. And was included in many different. Do you know it was even in when I did my research for the show? It was even in Will and Grace. They used the song.
No, I didn't know that.
And I love that show. That's one of my favorite shows. Yeah, the first time I've ever seen, well, maybe the second that I've seen gay people portrayed in a good light. You know, because I think I told you on your first show on TV that every time I see a gay couple, it's always on an HIV drug commercial.
Oh, sure.
I mean, what the hell is going on here? You know? Okay, so we have you, right? Yes. You're going to be coming on the show very soon. We have the co-host show, by the way. I have to plug them. They're amazing. Oh. You know my co-hosts, right?
No.
Austin and Matt, love you. Every first Saturday of the month, we talk. It's almost like The View.
Okay.
But 3 LGBT people get together and talk about politics and current
that sounds
events.
Nice.
Yeah, and we have a cute, fun banter, like I have with you, and but yeah, we get serious too, and it's a talk, about what's going on, and sometimes it's good news, and sometimes it isn't. But we just want to inform the public about what's going on every month. So that happens. Let's see who else I have on.
You've been plugging. You played a band for me when I came onto your show that you really liked.
Yes, the gated community. Well, they have a new single out. They're gonna kill me.
I'll put it in the description.
Yes. It just came out, and it's amazing, and it's about what's going on in Minneapolis, St. Paul with ICE, and that's a great song. And then and a very important guest is coming. I think in 3 weeks, Matt Little, who's running for Congress.
Oh, great!
Now he is doing the do. I've had all the candidates, the DFLers, on except him, and he agreed to do the show. So I hope he comes on, like he said. Yeah. And he goes to all the ICE where ICE is being cited, and he films them and watches. He's been gassed with spray and
Oh
all
my
this
gosh.
stuff, and he's out there for the public. He's a real uh, humanitarian. I want to say that's the best word I could use. So he'll be on. Just stay tuned, guys. We have some great guests for you to listen to, and it's not all about me.
Right,
It's
right.
about them, and that's why I have the show, because my voice is just a small little echo in a large, uh, 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 uh,
Yeah.
space.
Oh, I'm excited to listen to all of those interviews, and I'm just really grateful that you took the time to come on to work through all of our technical issues.
I know, but luckily I heard
Get
you
on
pretty
here.
well. Yeah, no.
Good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
As
And thank you for what you
always,
do. Again, I know the first show I was like, praising you up and down, but you deserve it. I mean, what you're doing is great work. And I hope this podcast, congratulations on the new podcast. I hope it
oh, thank you.
exceeds expectations, and being the person you are, I wouldn't think anything less. So good luck with
I
that.
thank you. I think that it will. Cause, it takes time. It takes a lot of energy to do this,
Oh
and
yeah.
I think there is a real need because the Minnesotan cultures, they're not extroverted in like a big way at scale like we are. I think there's a reason that you and I came here, got enmeshed in the culture, and then like got into media to share the stories of what's happening here. Because it really
Mhm.
is special, and they're not sharing it themselves. So there's an opportunity for
I
us to
just
use our
love.
talents in that way.
I have to say before I'm sure we're about to close the show
Yeah.
out here. I just want to say that I love the Minnesota people.
Yes.
They are looking out for their neighbors. They're holding signs. I love my neighbor.
Yes.
I mean, no matter what color they are, religion they are,
Yes.
what sexual orientation, whatever, they are there in the street because they don't want to see their neighbors hurt.
Yes.
Period. End of story. And I love that about Minnesota. So thank you, Minnesotans.
And I would continue on a positive note, continue thanking Minnesota. And I would say, it's not like everyone here is perfect and wonderful. You hurt that person in the grocery store or what have you. But
Oh
if you
yeah.
compare that to the number of protesters that you see at these No Kings rallies, or even when I'm just driving down the street on my way to the store, like they are wildly outnumbered by the good people here in Minnesota who
Oh
really
yeah.
do give a shit about each other.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I
you
think
could say that. That's right. You have.
you sure can. It's the new bottomless coffee, baby.
Yes, I love. Can I say it?
You can.
Because I can't say it on my show, so I just need to do it.
I believe in you.
Minnesotans give a shit.
We give a shit.
Yeah, I did it. I broke the mold there.
Thank you so much, Philip.
I love you so much. I really do. I really do. I mean, you're just the brightest light going. You really are, and you have a wonderful heart, because what you're doing, it takes, and what I'm doing, I'm not trying to blow my own horn, but what you're doing and I'm doing, we're trying to uplift our community, and that's, if more people would do that, we'd be a great society right now.
Boom. Mic drop.
Mic drop. Wait, here's my mic.
Thanks.
Drop.
Bye.